Hi, this is the Vigilante video game review of Gears of War 2. Uh, it's a great game. If you liked Gears of War 1, you'll like Gears of War 2. If you loved Gears of War 1, you will love Gears of War 2. Really, overall, I would say that the game has not changed much. They added, I think, a couple of grenades, maybe a different weapon. All the mechanics are the same. The gameplay, obviously, there's nothing really new. There's vehicle scenes. Story is different. The enemy types, there's different types of enemies. A little bit of variety there. But generally, it's pretty much the same game. It is a sequel. It's not something that you're gonna, not recognize from the first one. All the mechanics, active reload, cover, things like that are all the same, and it does it really well, like it did in the first game. Visually, it looks awesome, just like it did in the first game too. Does stuff that I hadn't seen a game up to that point do, like rain, really well, coming down, water streaming, all that stuff. Very impressed with it, and still got that. So again, an awesome game. I would say, criticism-wise, on a technical perspective, very, very little. I mean, the game is super solid. I didn't see a single bug in the entire game. And that's saying something, really. I mean, for a complex game like this, even though it is a sequel, you'd expect probably less bugs. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. It worked very well. I played the whole game co-op, which was a pleasure. Occasionally, you'd see lag, lag issues where something would be a little out of sync. But again, that's not really the game's fault. That's lag. Every co-op game or every multiplayer game I've seen that's kind of a Twitch-based shooter in particular, you see that kind of thing. So nothing out of the realm at all. I think one time I was playing Horde, which is a mode where it's like 5 against like wave enemy, where I just dropped out for no reason. Where the guys that were in my party didn't drop out, and I was able to get back in. It didn't kick me out of Xbox Live; it just dropped me out of the game. So that's a little odd, but not a big deal really. So it's awesome. Some of the interesting features, let's say difficulty. Difficulty, I played it on hardcore the whole way through, which is the highest level, other than Insane, that you can only unlock once you played it through hardcore. It wasn't that hard, I was kind of surprised. I'd played the first one, but still I expected a little bit more, of a difficulty, and it wasn't, which is good. So I'd recommend, don't be afraid of hardcore. One of the nice things is if you're playing it on, I'm not sure about single player, but if you're playing a co-op, you can adjust your difficulty level at any time, and you can have different difficulty level from you and your co-op player. So even if you're playing with somebody who's not very good, and you're kind of thinking, oh, maybe we should kind of tone it down, you can go hardcore and play with somebody who's on normal, no problem. It works very well. Also, if you want to get the kind of maximum achievements, it's a lot easier to play it one time through on hardcore, and then you get all the lower level difficulty achievements too at the same time. If you skip one mission and not on the higher difficulty level, you won't get the achievement. So it's good to go all the way through. But awesome game. I would definitely recommend playing it co-op. You can play it single player. I'm sure it's fine single player. I played the first one single player most of the way through, so I know that it works and everything. But it's really much more fun when you're playing with a real life player, because you can talk tactics more. You can get their help in certain situations. There's certain setups that really require the kind of cooperation of your buddy to help cover you while you move up, you cover him, that kind of thing. And again, with a AI, it'll kind of do it. It'll take care of itself, but you don't really get you don't understand what he's doing. You're not requesting the help. They're just kind of doing it, and it's kind of fun when you're going back and forth. So it's really a co-op game. I would suggest trying to play a co-op. If you don't have a buddy who can kind of commit to playing it all the way through, then if you got friends on your friend list, it's very easy to kind of request that they join you and hop in the middle of a campaign just to help you out. It's much better to have multiple partners play through than none, basically. So definitely good. I thought that the story from the first one, and I don't want to spoil even the first one for you, is pretty, I think, standard, except it ends in a way that has a kind of not a cliffhanger, but it kind of like doesn't resolve, kind of like Star Wars, ended with the Empire still being out there and Darth Vader being out there, but you kind of won, you destroyed the Death Star. Kind of has that kind of ending for number one. But then in number 2, you know, you realize, it's kind of later, the war isn't going so well. You didn't kind of wipe them out, so you're having a tough time of the war. And it introduced in the first one certain characters. Your main character's father was somehow maybe involved in this, and you're thinking that maybe you'll find out a little bit more about that, and you find out a little bit more, but really nothing much more. And at the end of this one, Gears of War 2, it again kind of ends up like Gears of War 1, in that, yeah, you had a big victory, but you know, you still got all these enemies out there and kind of other unknown things that are, you know, thrown up during the course of this one. So again, it doesn't have that kind of ending in the story. You know, it's obviously set up for a Gears of War, you know, 3 and 4 and 5. You know, who knows how many of these things are going to crank out. But it really doesn't end anything. You know, the story doesn't, like, you know, end. And I think if you probably played 1, skipped 2, and went to 3, you probably wouldn't be lost in the story at all. It wouldn't matter. That's how little the story really kind of changes in Gears of War 2. The story is fine, and it's an incredible, you know, a very emotional part of this one too. You know, there are events that happen in it that are really kind of touching and make you think, and you know, it is kind of good in that respect. But now, this is something that I think might be somewhat controversial, but I would say that if you have not played Gears of War 1, you should not play Gears of War 2. Go out and buy Gears of War 1. It's basically the same game for, you know, you can get it used now for a lot less money than buying a new Gears of War 2. Play Gears of War 1 first. Probably the online community is much bigger for Gears of War 2, so there's an element that if you want to get into the multiplayer, you know, you probably need to go to Gears of War 2. But if you want to just play the single player experience, I highly recommend playing Gears of War 1 if you haven't played it. There's nothing that you're really missing out by playing that versus this one. And then if you like it and you want to keep going, get Gears of War 2. So that's basically my review. Awesome game. If you liked 1, you'll like 2. And you know, keep it real. James Farley, Vigilante Center, Vigilante.